And liftoff.
Welcome,
everybody. Tasty McWaterson. Welcome to Beyond the Basement.
The complete
Attack on Titan
podcast. we did not just coordinate that. That was entirely spontaneous this time, and we pulled it off correctly.
And it's terrible. We'll work on it. We'll get better.
So welcome to episode 33, Hunters, also known as Season 2, Episode 8. Wow. Yeah, this one's kind of high on drama, I would say.
There's not a whole lot of action going on.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
It almost feels like you're taking a nap.
This is the closest
to episodes.
A filler episode that you can get, but even this episode very much serves a purpose. It's there for a reason, and it's more of a slow down, take in the emotions of it kind of reason than it is driving the story forward. But anyway.
The hard part about this is this is like a breather episode. You're like,
yeah,
okay.
You finally get to chill for a second.
Let us process information.
In the last 3 episodes, we found out that, or 4 episodes, we found out that not only is Historia some kind of royalty.
Yeah.
There's a beast titan that's
like
throwing horses and rocks at people.
Yeah.
Ymir's a titan.
Ymir's a titan. Bertholdt and Reiner are titans.
They don't know about her.
They're spies.
Eren
enemies
gets
of
an epic fight. He gets stolen.
Almost wins.
There's just so much going on that it's nice to have a breather, but the hard part is at this point I'm like, I don't want a freaking breather. I want to find out what happens. Give me a breather after all the craziness in between seasons or something.
Yes, they can't build up anticipation you if you
don't let it
give
build.
You a breather after all the things that happened.
It's like music. There's a delicate art to creating good music to create specifically a good musical break, right? Like in rock and roll, it's like the guitar solo, and it gets a little formulaic when you listen to rock throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s. I don't even know if that's true, but all I'm saying is this idea of when do you build tension, when do you let it release, when do you give it a second to rest, and when do you not? And it's not a science, it's an art. And I feel like the same thing is true for storytelling, and this is definitely true with this show. There's a fine point to the rests, to the quiet moments.
And he uses these rests to build some backstory into some character development, which is nice. But I feel like we dove in so deep that we've just come up and Isayama's like, okay, take a breath, and you're like, because you're about to go.
Yeah, about to go back under.
Really deep.
Okay, we shall take this moment to tell you a short story about a friend of ours. Okay, he's actually an anime fan. So Maddie, if you're watching this, or if you ever listen or watch this episode, we love you, bro. You're literally the best. Anyway, so he's
Maddie Fatlines.
Yeah, Matty Fatlines, that one. He drops some fat lines, let me tell you.
The legend.
The legend himself. So he's like a serious anime fan, has watched way more than any of the rest of us. And for whatever reason, he's actually not big on Attack on Titan. He's given it a couple of tries.
He wasn't big at first.
So he's finally kind of giving it a shot. And I think his complaint was actually similar to mine when I first watched it, which is, I like the story, I kind of like what's going on, but it was Season 1, there's just a lot of there's a lot of yelling, basically. It's the tension is super high, which fits the story, but
I remember saying that too the first time through. I was like, why is everybody always yelling in this show?
They're constantly tense in the way they talk.
Everyone's always screaming or crying.
And they chill it out a little bit, I think. It's more to do with the voice acting than anything. So anyway, I can understand that part. But nonetheless, so we finally got him to start watching the podcast. And then he was watching it in tandem with the show. And he was like, dude, I had to drop the podcast because, I got to find out what happens. And I'm like, don't worry about it, bro. I understand. We totally get it.
You can always rewatch the podcast.
You can always pick the podcast back up.
Yeah, you can come back and listen to this, whenever, you got time, if you even want to.
We're not trying to stop you binge watching, bro.
But the show, it's what you're just saying. It's I don't want to take a breath. I want to find out what the heck happens next. It's just that intriguing. Anyway, we haven't recapped yet. We should do that. All right, so episode 33. Gosh, this one's really well done. So we pick up with Bertholdt
Gravity
dropping in from the top rope.
Gravity.
Why can't we seem to keep it together? We just two different songs. Anyway, so he's dropping in from the top rope on Eren. But we get to watch the whole thing unfold this time. Last time it was they sort of cut you short, he just starts to hit the ground and then they cut the episode. So we watch that unfold. We watch Reiner take Eren out of the he takes Eren out of the nape. Bertholdt runs off with them on Reiner's Titan, and he also has Ymir with him.
Mm-hmm.
So they take off. We catch up with Pyxis and Erwin a little bit. They're kind of catching up. They're sort of getting the news of all what's been going on with the wall and the Titan shifters and so on. Then we run into the scouts back on the wall, and so when Bertholdt jumped off, you'll remember he released like a giant like steam cloud thing, and it injured or knocked out a lot of the scouts who were close by.
There was an explosion,
including Mikasa. So Armin's kind of awake, but he's like sort of injured. Anyway, so we get this whole scene with them on the wall. And we kind of we're getting a lay of the land of like, oh, everybody's sort of been taken out by this explosion. And then we get a nice flashback to the good old days of Armin, Mikasa, Eren beating up on bullies, stealing bread. Hannes is there, drunk like normal. Like, it's actually really fun. Like, we were laughing kind of through the whole scene because it's hilarious and it's fun to watch.
It's very nostalgic.
You're right. This is your breather moment. This is your like, can I remember something nice for a change? Like, everything has been tragedy, action, tension up to this point. Like, can we remember what we're fighting for? Which I feel like is the point of this episode.
Yeah.
So we get that flashback. And then, then when she wakes up, when Mikasa wakes up, that's when we kind of start to get a little bit of the information. So we get this conversation with Hannes and them, and he kind of is talking about how like, hey, listen, Eren's not going to give up. We got to go. It's got to be. He's worth chasing after, even though no one's done it for 5 hours. We've got these problem with the horses and so on. And then, when the horses finally arrive, Erwin shows up. They're like, all right, it's time to. Sorry, it's getting a phone call there. It's time to go. It's time to take
a
off.
Podcast.
Yeah, during the podcast, Sasha.
Barack Obama, stop calling us, please.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
I told him we do the podcast. He just doesn't know what time. I'll text him. Anyway, so the horses arrive. Erwin arrives, and they're like, all right, it's time to get out there. And Hange gets some clues as to where they might be because she's really smart. And they take off, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. Oh well, we do get a glimpse of Eren in the forest.
With no arms.
No arms. It's really weird. Anyway, so that's the recap of the episode. Why don't we start off with the fun part here is the action. So Bertholdt dropping in from a giant vert ramp on a skateboard.
I like how Becca described it. He's like, I fall.
I fall.
He does, though. Just very gracefully. And then explodes.
Yeah. What was the episode I'm trying to think of with Mikasa? She does it to Annie.
Annie.
Oh,
fall.
yes.
Annie
fall.
I am Bertholdt. I fall. That's not what the subtitles say. But if they were there, that's what he would say. I don't know how much there's to say about this other than it's just epic. The animation and stuff here. Oh, that's what I was going to say. The sound design in this show is so stinking good. Mm-hmm. It feels like we were watching it with my like good speakers on tonight, and like the bass and
if
like
a giant muscly titan fell off of a wall and released massive amounts of explosive steam, it would probably sound like that.
That's what it would sound like.
Yeah.
No, I think so for sure.
Do
And
you think they have a best boy on set? Like, okay, Colossal Titan, could you fall again? I got my the grip. Yeah.
The gaffers.
Sorry.
All the weird titles. Anyway, yeah, there's not much to say other than this is just a crazy moment, and I guess it kind of makes sense. The thing that doesn't super play well with me, well, I don't know. Whenever I go back and review the fights and like the logic of the show, I think at first I have doubts, and then I'm like, oh, actually, no, that does make sense. So one of them was like, why doesn't Bertholdt just jump off the wall and transform so he's at least mobile? Or does he strategically not do that and do the ribs thing? You know what I mean?
Or is it more of an Eren situation where he has to kind of just like panic and transform, so he only gets half transformation?
Right.
I'm thinking it was more of a panic kind of a thing.
Yeah. He was about to die.
Exactly. His head had nearly been removed from his body.
I'm surprised he was conscious.
Yeah.
He was like, gurgling on his own blood.
God, that's a horrible sound you just made there.
Sorry.
It's very accurate, but it scared me.
Is it going to be okay? Anyway.
And he was able to be useful because he really blocked the wall, set that steam off, and protected Bertholdt.
Yeah.
Protected Reiner. Up until the fact when Reiner couldn't hold his own and he had to go help his buddy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the 2v1 is like, come on, bro. I challenge you to a 1v1, not a 2v1. That part is definitely
Super frustrating.
You see how it doesn't give us the like kind of physical information here? It's just Bertholdt falls, and then somehow
Reiner gets on top of Eren and is pushing
able
his
to
head
survive.
yeah.
Like he doesn't really explain it, but somehow like Reiner's in the chaos of it. Reiner not only survives, but has like the physical prowess.
Yeah,
to,
he's fine after getting that beating, and is able to pop his head out and bite Eren's knee
and run off, mind you.
Yeah, and then
but he had a knee that was chopped
vehicle.
up.
Yeah, apparently he heals. Anyway, there's so much chaos in this explosion. It burns a bunch of people. It knocks a bunch of people unconscious. But somehow Reiner's totally fine. They pull Eren out. Bertholdt then emerges from the Colossal Titan
with tiny teeth.
He's wearing ODM gear.
So it had to have been from the other soldier that he ate.
Yeah. Or that has to be it because we never see him again.
Yeah.
So he gets the ODM gear on. He grabs Eren. He ODMs up to Reiner.
Ymir.
Carrying Ymir's
Eren's
unconscious body.
Yep. And you got the armor titan runs off.
And Armin, because Mikasa's unconscious, Armin gets to do the dramatic Eren scream.
Yeah.
That was a pretty darn good impression.
Yeah.
Dang, I'm gonna go back and listen to this episode and see how well that came through on the mic.
Side by side. So then we switch to a scene with Pyxis.
The functioning alcoholic.
Well, how would you experience the? He's not the section commander. He's higher up.
He's like
the Erwin of the garrison, right?
But they call Hange like section commander.
They just call him Commander
Erwin and Commander Pyxis.
So he is, a
general.
Commander.
He's like a general.
He's the commander of the garrison. And what is the garrison known for?
Good point.
And he is the commander, my friend.
Good point.
He can drink with the best.
He is surrounded by bottles of alcohol, sitting crisscross applesauce, asleep.
Yeah.
People are a product of their leaders. Let me tell you. Okay.
That's right. He leads by example. Let me tell you. They always say.
He wakes up and he immediately takes another drink of alcohol and flirts with the girl who wakes him up.
What's her face is like, you can't drink that much. Like, I don't want to change your diapers when you're old or whatever. And he's like, oh, pretty lady like you do. That's not so bad. Like, guy's crazy. Anyway,
he's
he
completely
looks so
smashed
happy all the time.
He tries to take another drink. She knocks him out. She's like, "No, we need your head clear." But obviously, he's like drunk.
That's not a thing.
A drunk Pyxis is 10 steps ahead of everybody else because she gives him some basic information. She's like, "Yeah, these people haven't gotten back, but these people have got back." And
you're talking about the patrols that went out to sea for the wall or whatever.
Because last we heard, there was a freaking hole in the wall, and Titans were pouring in, and this could be the end of humanity. But she's like, "Oh yeah, this happened," and Pyxis is like, yeah. This is exactly probably what happened, which is exactly what happened.
Because he's a deduction guy.
Well, he kind of explains, and they show a little diagram, and he explains his thinking, and then comes to the conclusion that there is no hole in the wall.
There is no hole.
Well, he talks about the 2 patrols that they'd sent out, which is true. They'd sent 2 patrols. He says they must have met up in the middle.
Yeah, and then turned
back. If they hadn't
back,
seen many Titans,
then there's no hole in the wall.
But here's the thing.
How do you come to that freaking conclusion?
If there's no hole in the wall, where did all those Titans come from?
And just you're chill with that? Like, there's random Titans inside the wall, but we don't know how they got there. We just know there's no hole.
It begs the question, does Pyxis know something that we don't know?
What the crap?
In The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, there's a scene where one of the characters, Lucy, she finds a way into the wardrobe, into Narnia, and then the older brother, Edmund, or the younger brother, finds a way in as well. And they both come out, and she's like, "Oh, it's so awesome! Now that you know, everyone will believe me that we've been to a magical land."
He is older than Lucy. He's just younger than the other 2.
And he lies about it and says, "No, I haven't been to a magical land, right?
It's all in your imagination."
Yeah, for his own gain. And so they don't know what to do because she won't go back on her word, and he's like doubling down on this lie, and they're like, well, obviously, like, Edmund's right because no magical lands exist, but she won't give it up. And they don't know what to do. She's clinging to this thing as if it's, like, the truth. So they go and they ask the professor. They say, like, what do we do? Our sister's really depressed. We think there's something mentally wrong with her because she keeps claiming these illusions of grandeur. And he says, like, interesting. Is Lucy the type of person that would lie? And like, no. Like, is Edmund the type of person that could lie? Like,
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. And he says, well, when extraordinary things happen and there's no other explanation necessary, usually it's the thing that, even if it's extraordinary, is the thing that's probably true.
That's what actually happened.
And so Pyxis is doing some sort of magical,
deductive reasoning.
Deductive reasoning in his head, some mathematical equation is like, yep, there's no hole in the wall. Which means that the extraordinary situation of the Titans being in the wall somehow is the most probable cause.
Logical.
Yeah. Interesting.
That like Occam's razor kind of thing.
Yeah, you got Sherlock.
The simplest explanation is they're here, but we just don't. They're here. There's no hole in the wall. There are Titans. The Titans are there. They're real, and they got here some other way.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, does stand to reason.
Which is what was where we at. But the fact that he was able to get that without doing some deep dive. The thing that's crazy
though is like they've been this whole time. The walls are there to keep Titans out. So if there are Titans in the walls and they didn't make a hole through the wall, then everything you believe is a lie.
Yeah,
right.
And he's just completely calm about that.
Good point.
Can Titans show
How
up at
is he
will?
not losing his freaking mind?
I mean, he is drunk, so let's give him that.
True.
I mean,
maybe that's why he's drunk.
Titans have showed up inside of literally every wall. Because remember, the fight with Annie was in the interior, so...
In an alcove, but yes.
Yeah.
So then, Erwin buzzes up. It's Commander Erwin. So now you've got two of the most important commander figures that we know of. The leader of the garrison and the leader of the scouts. And the last time they met, they were saying, oh, we shouldn't really be seen together talking. And obviously now crap has hit the fan. They're like, I don't care who sees. We got to figure things out.
They're just going to have a conversation
It's still
in
just
broad
the two
daylight.
of them, though, mind you. They're on top of a wall,
And
but it looks
his
pretty...
aide,
that one gal, but
Yeah, it's not like they're in
it's always the same
broad
girl, though, I
daylight
think.
in the middle of the
not in a town square
interior,
somewhere.
yeah. So Erwin says, there's some stuff going on, and Pyxis is like, oh, Erwin, I heard you captured one of those mice.
Yeah, those troublesome mice.
Yeah, and he's talking about Annie. He's talking about a Titan shifter
Yeah.
who is a spy in the interior.
Well,
He
let's
also
talk about
says
this.
mice, not mouse, which is interesting.
Let's
Why does
talk
he
about
say
this.
mice? That's plural.
Okay,
Because he knows.
this
How
means...
does he know things?
This statement means a couple of things. Okay, it means... Okay, hang on. Wait, let's finish his statement. Okay, so he says, I hear you captured some troublesome mice. And then Erwin's like, well, yeah, except for the fact that we were actually... We've been one step behind. Then Pyxis says, well, maybe it'll get those goons in the interior thinking, and maybe they'll reconsider how important their stale beliefs and motives are to them. So, and then what am I trying to say? Then Erwin's like, yeah, well, it appears that they have. They finally are sending MPs in areas where there's Titans. Okay, so that's basically the conversation. So this line in particular is a little cryptic to me. He says, you've captured some of those troublesome mice. So I figure it's one of a handful of things. It's cryptic on purpose because, well, this part we can know for sure is that Erwin and Pyxis have been in some communication. It seems pretty obvious that that Erwin has sort of let Pyxis in on the plans. Things like even the plan to or Erwin's suspicions that, there's other moles, there's other spies kind of, in their midst. And so is the reason Pyxis is using the language troublesome mice, is that because that was kind of Erwin's code talk for, amongst the higher ups when he was developing these plans or whatever? Was that that the language he decided to use? So it could be that. It could also be that there's just a mutual understanding. He's like, oh, you kind of told me you thought there were some people, and this is just Pyxis using Pyxis language. That's kind of the way he is. Or is there more to the story than meets the eye? Because and I think it's clear at this point, I don't think I'm spoiling anything by saying this, that there's a good will, a good righteous fighting heart in the commander of the garrison, Pyxis, and there's a good righteous fighting heart in the commander of the scouts, which is Erwin. We definitely don't trust what's-his-snot, the younger looking guys in charge of the MPs. And the interior in general, because you mentioned this while we were watching it. The interior, those goons, quote, those goons in the interior, they are bad people.
Yeah.
So far as we know. Sex traffickers. They're
drunks,
overindulgers.
They're corrupt. Remember,
they
Marlo?
Sell contraband.
Marlo was gonna, allow the guns to be, or not Marlo, but he caught the people trying to sell the guns with the people's taxpayer money.
Yes, there's corruption going on for sure.
And they're power hungry because as soon as Eren was revealed, they're like, oh, we want to take control of Eren.
Yeah, power hungry, ignorant of, like, kind of willfully ignorant of other happenings. You mentioned the cull that kind of happened when the Titans came in. So, like, purposely, like, killing off, like, hundreds of thousands of people. These are not the people in the interior, whoever's running humanity here, this, world that they're in. They're not good at what they're bad. They're bad people. They're not good at it, and they're not problem solvers. They're not go-getters. It's typical politicians, leaders, that kind of thing, or whatever.
Yeah.
They aren't getting stuff done. They're not actually like solving humanity's problems. They're just sort of enjoying their wealth. They're enjoying the class that they get to be in, and they, up to this point, it sounds like they haven't had any troubles. They aren't out there farming. They aren't facing Titans. They're just chilling. So their troubles are troubles of drama or political power and intrigue and things like that. So the goons are bad. Anyway, I just kind of have this thought that this conversation's a little more than meets the eye. I have some spoiler knowledge to say that that's the case, but also not entirely. So I'm kind of making a conjecture here.
I kind of feel like this is Aragorn coming to like the King of Rohan and being like, look what's happening. There's war going on. We need to like go fight it. And the MPs are kind of like, no, let's just kill Eren.
Maintain the status quo.
Let's maintain the status quo. Let's just do whatever we need to do to keep our interior safe. And Aragorn's like, open war is upon you whether you want it or not. We need to all go together and fight. And I feel like that's what Pyxis and Erwin are saying. Like, maybe this will wake up the people in the interior and they'll release like all the funds and all the troops and we'll go fight this as one unified body because right now we're all divided.
Yeah.
And their stupid stale ideals and their like status quos and remember Lord Wald and his pompous money. Like that's what the interior is like instead of being committed to saving humanity's life.
Yeah. One other kind of finer point in this, which is interesting because I feel like this keeps coming up in my daily life. So there are things in culture. Okay, so you've heard of hashtag first world problems. Everybody has at this point, which is like, I got my coffee and there's too much sugar in it or something like that. I don't know.
Or my gym closed early.
Yeah, my gym closed early today.
You pay money to go to optionally exercise.
Yeah,
that's the first world problem.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them, and it's funny because it's true, but like. The kind of stuff that we complain about, the kind of stuff that we talk about, the kind of stuff that we think is or is not important in a world that we live in now is very different than it was even just 100 years ago, let alone 200 or 300 years ago, because all of our basic needs are so easily met. Food, shelter, warmth / air conditioning for the most part too. I mean, like cooling out, like those things are just... Even the cost of those things, as much as like, oh, I know, you're gonna first world problems me right now. I'd be like, no, but houses are really expensive, bro, and rent's really expensive. Like, yeah, kind of, but legit, but like,
But we also live better than kings and queens have.
We complain because we have too many food options and we can't decide what we want to eat for dinner.
Yeah, we're all overweight.
Meanwhile, people are starving all over the world, and we're like, I don't know what I feel like eating. Should I have pizza or hamburger?
I don't want to eat Thai again.
Oh my gosh.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's nothing good on Grubhub right now.
So, too true. So my point is,
all right, guys, I feel convicted right now.
My point is that kind of like, okay, the problems you think that you have or things that seem like a big deal to you, relatively speaking, they really aren't. Like they're only those quote problems only exist in your head, and they only exist because of the environment you live in, which is a very safe, well-fed, luxurious, comfortable version of life. And so for those in the interior in the show. Because what Pyxis is criticizing them on is their stale beliefs and motives. They're going to reconsider how important those stale beliefs are and how important those motives are to them. Their motives are clearly political. There's, like you said, power grabbing or whatever going on, and their beliefs are, no, we're protected, we're fine. Walls are going to stand. Like the soldiers will take care of it. Like they have some. Like, they live in a bubble. They live in a rich, wealthy bubble, which is not too dissimilar to, like, the West America. Like we do for like 99% of us live in a rich, wealthy bubble, and so our perspective is a little skewed. So he's commenting on that, and he's saying like, all right, maybe this is the wake up call. And you would hope. Hey, listen, there's literally a Titan brawl in one of your cities. So think about that. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so sorry. Erwin says, yeah, okay. It appears they have reconsidered a little bit. They've sent MPs into areas that do actually have Titans. Which, final comment on that, if you'll remember, to make into the MPs, you have to be top 10 in your class. So I think their assumption is, oh, well, we're getting the finest soldiers to protect us. We'll always be okay. Except for the fact that your finest soldiers are a bunch of corrupt
no experience.
Well, you train them. You lead them by example to be corrupt, to not be disciplined, to be drunks, to take advantage of situations, instead of being like incredibly drilled special forces. Yeah, instead of all this stuff. If you let people, if there's no good leadership, people will just go nuts.
Well, plus, I'm saying, like, they have no real experience dealing with Titans.
The people who were the most qualified coming out of cadets 2 years after the fact are going to be the least qualified because they don't even use their ODM gear.
Yeah. They should have gone into the scouts.
Yes, they should make the top 10% go to the scouts.
Every time.
And if you survive for like a year in the scouts,
then you can go to the interior.
No, I'm just saying like put the freaking worst people in the MPs because that's...
Oh, no, you're right. But I'm saying if your concern was I want the finest soldiers protecting me, you would have to at least sit down and be like, okay, these are not actually the finest soldiers. They were just the best in training.
Their class. They've never seen combat. Greenhorns.
So we go from the top of the wall down to the lower parts of the wall, and we see that, oh yeah, there are MPs out here in Trost, which is strange because they are scared of Titans, basically, you know? And you see, like, looks like battle-hardened John, like, over there, like, sipping on something strong as he's, like... reliving his PTSD,
kind of contemplating the fact that there's no hole in the wall, or they think there's no hole in the wall.
And there's some other scouts that are like, no, we didn't hardly find any Titans, and there wasn't a hole in the wall. And John's
He's
like,
wondering
are you
what's
sure?
going on, and if his people are okay. Yeah.
They're all trying to put pieces together, right? And MPs are all around like, hey, there's no Titans here, and they called us out. It was such a big emergency. It's like, bro, Utgard Castle got sieged by a beast titan. There was like 50 titans that came out of nowhere that attacked in waves.
They don't know that yet.
They don't know anything.
That's about to get dropped on them.
It was an emergency, right? But they're acting all cocky because they're the top 10 of their class and the MPs.
Levi, where are you hiding all those titans, bro?
Yeah, which is just A+.
The worst thing you can do.
Levi, who's, he's a really good sense of humor. He's a guy you can tease a lot,
Yeah, really takes a good ribbing. Yeah, so he like quips back at him, and this is Levi doing Levi stuff with a broken arm. He's like, yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a shame you didn't have a chance to fight them. He's like, don't worry about it though. He's like, if you want some action, there's plenty of expeditions going on outside the walls, and they're like.
You want
we're good. We have important things to do, like wash our hair and clip our toenails.
Yeah,
we have interior work to attend to.
I'm doing laundry that day.
Paint dry on the wall.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, Levi's like, look, if you guys were basically men, you'd join the scouts and you'd come up with us on a joint mission outside the walls at some point. And I don't like the prospects of that. Nobody likes the prospects of that, so they shrink back a little bit.
So fortunately, they're interrupted by a messenger. The advanced squad has arrived. Advanced whatever. It's Sasha and who else is there?
Some guy in the garrison.
Couple guys, yeah.
How did Sasha become part of this like messenger group? This is like the second time she showed up as a...
Is she fast? I don't feel like she'd be
fast.
She is fast.
She's good on the ODM gear, and she's definitely... She has the most
horse experience. That makes sense.
Right? She's really fast on horseback. That was one of the things about her. Yeah.
So they arrive, and poor Sasha is, just like, give me the potato, please.
She's drinking water like a mad woman.
And they say...
Saying nothing.
There's nothing wrong with the wall. There was no hole in the wall. And John can't believe it, and he's concerned about his friends in the 104th who were just out there where they're at, and everyone's confused, right? And homeboy has to drop the bombs on everybody.
This is literally, I wrote down on my notes here, worst news ever.
Yeah. Like, by the way,
think of all the things
he pretty much says that. He's like, it gets so much worse.
Think of all the things these people don't know.
Yeah, he's like,
that's the best news of the bad news.
By the way, there was no hole in the wall. But there is 3 spies who were Titan shifters who were in our midst who've had a huge giant fight and stole Eren and stole Ymir and ran away. Like, that's way worse than having a hole in the wall. Like, that's...
Also, there's this crazy beast titan that throws horses and rocks at people.
Yeah, who's sentient, who can speak, who commands Titans,
gosh,
but, you know,
dude.
whatever.
The doctor shows up in your room and is like, well,
you're not dead.
You don't have a broken ankle.
But you have cancer.
But your
you're gonna
body's
die in
filled with
3
the
days.
cancer that will keep you alive and in desperate pain for the rest of your life, which could be 25 years. I don't know.
So John responds like we all were. He's like, there was more, because he said there was more spies in the 104th. Those were his brothers.
Not just some. 3 more.
Who were the Titans in the 104th that you fought with, that you bled with, right? Who? And he
Then
says,
he yells at Sasha, right?
Yeah, he yells at Sasha.
And she's like choking on her water.
And they're like, who, right? And,
Who was it, Sasha?
The dude doesn't really answer.
He's about to answer, but Erwin
He says, calm down, John.
it's not important right now. What's more important is what happened.
Tells him to calm down.
Tell us about the fight. And he says, well, by the time we got there, the fight was pretty much over. And what were we going to do anyways?
Right. He said that the scouts engaged in battle, but by the time we got there, like, there's nothing we could do. They had captured Eren
and Ymir
and ran off with them, which again, like,
leaving most of the remaining scouts completely injured and unconscious.
Yeah. I would be like, hey, don't shoot the messenger, by the way. And that's just like literally like a worst possible scenario, but it is the truth.
So they go back to the wall, back to the scene where the crime happens, and we see the waste, the layout.
Everybody's unconscious,
I would love
including
to see
Mikasa.
I would love to see a chalk outline of the Colossal Titan. You said crime scene. They return to the crime scene.
His skeleton is still smoking in the sun, so there's that with his tiny little baby teeth.
But we see the fallout. We see like almost everybody that's there is jacked up in some way, burned severely, knocked unconscious, maybe dead or broken or whatever.
Yeah, there's like 3 people conscious. One of them is Armin.
Armin's like running back and forth trying to help everybody. Hannes has luckily got on the other side of the wall before the explosion. And it says that everyone got blasted with steam and wind. This was a total disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And Armin sits down by Mikasa, and he's carefully attending his friend.
She's probably got like a concussion or something, it sounds like.
That's what he suspects, yeah.
Yeah.
And we start to see a flashback.
Armin seems melancholy, and then there's
flash.
stroll down memory lane.
Hannes tells Armin to eat.
Yeah.
I love how he's the actual voice of reason in this episode.
He's like taking care of Armin a little bit.
He's the one telling the people in the show and us, the viewer, to like, all right, chill out for a second. Like, remember what this is about. Like,
yeah.
When you're in an actual emergency or like some kind of scary situation, having somebody around who's got a strong sense of peace about them makes a really big difference. It really does. And like having somebody like Hannes around to be like, hey, have a snack. Like, what else can you do, right? He's the realist in this situation. Yeah. He's not like down. He's not sad. He's just like, hey, you got to eat, Armin. Just do what you can right now.
Yeah, in trauma, it seems like, our rational brains go out the window. And sometimes you just need someone to come and rationally say, you need to eat. You need to rest. You need to take some time, Yeah. And that kind of brings a little bit of healing and comfort in this situation.
Yeah. And then we get to the flashback, which is really one of the cutest, funniest ones. I think this is like my favorite, like of the back when we were kids,
Gosh, back when things were simple. Back when
Mikasa still had long hair.
Before they even get too far into the flashback, I literally felt sentimental. I was like watching this and like, I'm like, oh yeah, remember when like things were okay, I'm like, the good old days.
Back when Mikasa was like, not just murdering Titans all the time.
Back
she was
before
just
2020.
Innocent little girl.
Back before the Rona.
Yeah.
So
simpler times.
It starts out with Mikasa just being a cute little girl at the market getting food for, later that evening or whatever, and Armin runs up to her, Mikasa!
Eren. What about Eren? Mikasa immediately turns.
Yeah, she knows. Like,
it's Eren!
What did he do?
Eren and those 3 bullies. The 3 bullies took Armin's food.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, oh man, they swiped the kid's lunch. But we flash to where Eren is with the 3 bullies, and he says, you took Armin's family's provisions
for like 3 days.
3 days worth of food for his family.
And these bullies are like, oh, yeah, you're making us feel bad or whatever. And here's Eren, 3v1, staring him down, trying to bring justice because injustice has happened.
Mm-hmm.
What a picture, right?
So the bully dude's like, well, I don't know where your bread's at because I ate it all, which is kind of why. He said, that was 3 days worth.
If you'd be okay with vomit here, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, Buzz.
So
What an idiot.
Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof. Anyway, so the stall owner, there's like a shopkeeper who's like right by, and he's noticing the fight kind of breaking out, and he's like, immediately starts complaining to the guard. He's like, hey, like,
Yeah, the guard. Look, break up this fight.
yeah, these kids are getting in a fight, like, break this thing up, and it's Hannes, dude, the good old days.
He's all
Luckily-
like rosy cheeked and
Him and
I
all
was
of
just
them.
gonna say, luckily there's a guard around. Hey, guard! And they turns it off. They're all playing cards and wasted out of their mind.
all of them.
If only that could be the guards in Skyrim. Just give me one. Every time you steal one thing in Skyrim, they're freaking after
There's
you,
like
every
20
one
of
of
them pounding you to
They're all
death.
in good
One
shape.
chicken, yeah.
They're all prepped to make sure that you freaking die.
Hang
but-
the thief!
I thought one of those guys took an arrow to the knee, but he seemed just fine chasing
Yeah.
after me.
Yeah, seriously. Anyway,
Yeah, so Hannes is a useless drunk. And
You
he's
know,
like,
yeah, but he's still a good
just
guy.
let the kids fight. They're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, they're just messing around.
Fine. Someone else is going to come up.
you don't even know.
No, he's like, someone
Yeah.
better than us is going to come take care of things anyway. Just you wait. And then he turns around.
You don't even know.
I love that again
Okay.
because I know I've watched the show, but the like,
He's talking
someone
about
better
a
than us
small
is gonna show
girl.
up. He literally knows, like, oh look, Eren's in trouble. Don't worry, this happens so often. I know for sure Mikasa's gonna show up. In a
Mikasa
second.
and Armin are going to come clean up his mess. Just
Not only
wait.
not only is she gonna show up, she's gonna show up in like force, and she's actually like, since I'm wasted, like she'll probably do better than I could do. Like,
Yeah. So Mikasa shows up, starts doing ninja Mikasa stuff and slapping bullies and flipping around. And Eren, of course, is not like, you came, thanks for the backup, now it'll be an even fight. He's like, you're here? What are you doing here? I'm trying to do this heroic thing, and here you are like dampening my mojo, right?
He's
and-
such a dork.
I mean,
Okay.
I understand him to a degree because he feels like he's trying to do the right thing, and every time he does, like, his manhood gets infringed by somebody else and she doesn't come and say like, hey, let's fight together. She says, your mom wants you back at home when you're going to be in trouble, right?
That's true.
What a condescending thing to say to
being a little
somebody.
condescending and emasculating, I suppose.
Like, if someone's going to show up, like, A, they're better than you, they fight better than you, and they're telling on you to your mom, like, shut up, man. Like, okay, I experience Eren. So
Okay.
Eren doesn't
I hear
want to
you.
go home, and he not only doesn't want to go home, Armin's like, just stay out of the fight. Let Mikasa handle this, because Mikasa can easily handle
Three boys by herself.
which is nuts. And Eren's like, no, I'm not just gonna let somebody else like fight my own battle. It's like, I'm gonna fight too. I'm gonna find a way to be useful. And he very on Mikasa, like, it's like double eggs a bully. And I'm like, come on, Eren, get some technique in there too. Mikasa's fighting like a champ. She's slapping these bullies around. And in the midst of this,
She's like flying through there and kicking them in the face, and like she does this weird like slap thing, and I don't even know what that's supposed to be.
So when she first shows up, she has the one kid by the face and is like having a conversation with Eren, like, hey, your mother's gonna be really, you need to
you
bring
need
that
to
wood
go
back
home and chop wood.
Yeah.
Well, first she kicks one kid into the guy's with the
Stand,
merchant
yeah.
stand and breaks it.
which he was worried
And
about.
then slaps another kid in the face and then just starts calmly talking to Eren. And I'm like, she just took out two guys at once and is just like, hey, what's up? You need to go home and chop wood. Like, what is going on?
I was half expecting this shopkeeper guy to be like, my cabbages. But he didn't. Instead, he's like, hey, guards, I freaking told you guys to break up this fight, and you're worthless. And
You worthless pieces of crap.
and the guards are like, oh yeah, and they're cheering on Eren as Eren's like trying to fight, like, don't let Mikasa
Good one,
get one
Eren.
up
You
on
got
you.
it.
And the shopkeeper guy just like hucks a freaking glass bottle, and hits one of the guys in the face. Which,
Okay. If anybody, no, I understand. Wait. Okay.
he's-
wait
he's
before you.
justified, but
No.
Also,
just assaulted
you just
an
assaulted a
officer
police
with a
officer,
deadly
basically.
Okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. He did just throw a fully loaded glass bottle at the king's
If that
soldier.
guy hadn't been drunk, he probably would have been knocked unconscious or something.
But glass today is a lot stronger than it probably was back then.
Okay.
So I'm just
Okay.
gonna go with
Alright.
it was thinner and broke easier.
Or it
because
was sugar glass.
if I full on hucked a glass like that at somebody's head and it broke, on
across
impact
their
with their
face.
head, they're not conscious after that. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
They're also probably bleeding profusely and need multiple stitches.
Don't get me wrong. I'm on this guy's side. The Garrisons are a bunch of freaking useless drunks. They're not doing their job. And, like, the one thing they have to do is break up little kid fights, and they can't even do that right. And he says it's true. Like, you guys are a freaking bunch of waste of taxes. And I'm like, amen, bro. Let's freaking cut this red tape.
Truer words have never been spoken.
Let's scale this thing back.
Like, all right, they should be doing their job. You're right.
Okay,
Also,
but my favorite part is Hannes agrees with him.
yeah, he stops the dude from getting in a fight with the stallkeeper and is like, like it or not.
He's right.
He's right.
We are
There's
a waste of tax dollars, and he's rewarded by getting punched in the face.
This guy is all taxpayers right now. I'm like, hit him again.
Go for round two.
Yeah,
Okay, pick his pockets.
Hannes
me,
takes
Hannes.
it though, and he like just kind of wipes the blood off of his nose, and he's like, "All right, let's fight." Like,
He's drunk. That's what happens. You
Yeah.
don't feel it as much.
you
That's
know,
just a thing.
He'll feel it in the
he
morning.
was drunk, but he's still a pretty great guy.
Yeah,
even then.
I still love Hannes, even though he's a worthless trunk and a waste of taxpayer money. I still love him. He's a good dude.
Here's the thing: is he steps up. That's actually
Yes.
He's a fun character to follow because he's a side character, but
There's growth.
Yeah, he shows up real hard because we see him kind of in his like drunk, Garrison doing whatever, like real early on.
He
we
still
see
has
him
that potential.
sort
back
of step
then,
up to
though.
the plate with saving Eren and Mikasa, but then regretting the fact that he didn't go harder and try and face the Titan and save Eren's mom. But like that moment changes him. It changes him because when he shows up in this episode, he's fully competent.
Yeah.
He's part of the advanced garrison. He's been hunting for Titans. He shows up and is giving people rations. He's like taking leadership over the situation. The commanding officers are down. He's like stepping in. These are scouts. They're not even his division. They're not even in his like branch.
Yeah.
And he's like
taking care of everybody.
yeah, he's taking care of them. And later on, we'll get to his like kind of little his little monologue about about Eren and about the future and stuff like that. But like he's used as a very good like pivotal character, and like this flashback shows both of those sides of him. Really, it shows the like, okay, you're kind of just a little bit of a lazy
useless piece of poop.
scrub.
Yeah.
But he's also like kind of good-hearted and is like trying to diffuse the situation.
Heart. Yeah.
He's pretty even-keeled. He's trying to all right, let's don't worry. He's saying true words. Don't worry about it. And even after getting punched in the face, he sort of smiles. He's like, okay, let's go for a boxing match. But it's like good-natured. You know what I mean?
I wonder if he hadn't shown that character growth that we know, would we like him half as much? Because he would still just be the useless coward who couldn't save Eren's mom.
Yeah. But the fact we've gotten to catch up with him, like
the fact
here and
that he
there.
has grown, he has shown redemption. Because think about this: that whole time he was playing cards and getting drunk, he could have been training with ODM gear. And when the Titans actually came, he could have been
useful.
He could have actually saved a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
And they say that saying like, hard times make hard men. Hard men make easy times. Easy times makes weak men. Weak men makes hard times, right?
Yeah.
And so Hannes is getting to, in the golden days, in the early days, in the easy days where everything was fine, and it didn't matter if you were getting drunk at your job. Those are the easy times.
He's soft.
It
because
made weak men. Yeah, I mean, soft.
He
soft
referred to
men.
himself as a
times.
useless soldier.
And so what if instead of just allowing yourself to be shaped by the times, you chose to be
prepared,
a disciplined version of yourself? You tried to make yourself better each day, even if things were easy. You chose to make things hard on yourself. You gave yourself limits, and you shot for your goals, and you worked hard, and you had discipline, and you took responsibility for yourself. Like, those are the people that we need in all of these times, because those are the people that help out society so much more so. And you teach your sons and your daughters to do those things no matter what the times are like. And then you have a society that can fend for itself, that can protect itself, that helps others, that rises up in occasion, especially like the pandemic we're seeing right now. What we need is not weak men. What we need is not weak women. We need people who are stepping up, who are helping, who are prepared, who are disciplined. And it sucks that it takes major disasters for people to finally get that in their head. For us, a lot of times it's the pandemic right now, or it's the riots, or whatever it is. For Hannes, it's seeing one of his favorite people be eaten alive by a Titan and knowing he couldn't do anything about it because he was soft. So he sees that, and hallelujah, he takes that as okay, this is the challenge.
Yeah.
I'm going to be better next time.
He doesn't run and hide. He steps up to it. He goes and he grows. And I said, we kind of see a little bit of that like good-natured Hange here, and we also see the old man that he was. So this flashback serves both purposes to endearing us to the character, but also kind of taking us back to where he was and versus where he is now.
Yeah.
And it's a cool, we get to see all the various characters. It's just fun. Like this is a fun good old days like flashback. And of course he legitimately does start a fist fight with a citizen he's supposed to be guarding. So there's that.
Honest.
And then you hear the whistle and
guess who comes to break up the fight?
Is it?
I don't know. I don't recognize
the
him.
MPs.
Is it?
The MPs come to break up the fight.
Oh.
It's like they're the only law in the entire city because the garrisons are like just as bad as the thieves and citizens.
Despite being senile and dangerous behind the wheel, the MPs do still serve a purpose.
Yes. So the MPs...
Dumb and Dumber reference, by the way. If you're too young to have seen that movie, you're missing out. It's one of the best scenes. Anyway, carry on.
I got to go back to this though. The whole show, Attack on Titan, really is a commentary on how drunks really aren't as bad as we give them credit for. Because Hannes is like a good dude, right? Pompadour guy, all he wanted was one more sip of whiskey.
Oh man,
right?
Yeah, true.
And Pyxis is like the greatest
Pyxis
commander.
is also a drinker.
He's a filthy drinker.
Okay,
so
I feel like every one of these. Okay, with writers, this is a real thing. With writers, they write
themselves into the story.
They write themselves in the story. Because we just did a whole freaking episode. Our longest episode was a discussion on how Isayama includes UFC because he's like a UFC fan, so he includes like UFC stuff in like the fights, right, or MMA stuff in the fights. He's got to be a whiskey fan or sake. Like I don't know what his drink is.
All the writers just show up with freaking strong drink, and they're like, "You guys ready to write the next episode?" I swear. Okay, all of the heroes are drunks.
They're just pickled humans. Just okay.
So we come. We see the MPs break up the fight. The bullies start to run.
They're like, "Oh, things are getting serious. Let's run away."
Yeah, and Eren's like, "I don't want to let him get away. I'm going to chase him down and stop him." So he runs after these bullies, and Mikasa is the one that gets caught and stopped. Mm-hmm. And Mikasa and Armin are left behind, and Eren's run off, and they're saying, "No, Eren, no!" And of course, like at the time, you're like, he just ran like a block away. He'll be back that night. You don't got to scream and cry, Mikasa, but we realize
dramatically
that it's triggering Mikasa's separation anxiety from when she was taken away from her family.
Yeah.
Eren is her family now.
Eren's all she's got. This part actually made me tear up a little bit. It legitimately did, because she's a little girl, and like Eren's kind of like all she has in the world. And it's her, she can take care of herself, obviously, like she can fight and so on and so forth, but she's a woman, and like she's not just a woman, she's a human. Okay, this be kind of be anybody, but there's just something about like Eren is a security blanket for her. He's somebody like she needs to be around. Like he like fought for her and like showed her how to fight and like awakened this like he's done so much for her. He's the only family she's got, and yeah, she has like if a psychologist, I'm not like an expert or anything, but psychologists for watching the show, this is exactly what they would say. It's like, oh, that's classic. Like this is separation anxiety. This is exactly what it's like. It's separation anxiety is not just like all of us will feel it. If like you're sending, a close loved one off to war or something like that, or they're moving to another country, or like going on a missions trip, or like going to do something dangerous, like that's normal, but it's the separation anxiety, like clinically speaking, is when you feel it even in times when it's not particularly a big deal and there's something else causing it. And for her, there's something else causing it. This girl, she's still pretty young in this scene. It probably wasn't all that long ago that she was taken from her family, watched her parents killed in front of her, like, and Eren was like the one thing that caused her to like rise up and like live and fight, and so
that's her worst nightmare.
Yeah, this is her worst nightmare. So Eren going away even just a little bit, she feels that like tension just like rises up, and like that pain is there immediately. And we've known this throughout the show. It's like obvious up to this. We've watched plenty of episodes to see like, okay, Mikasa has this like attachment to Eren. She has a love. It's love. That is what that is. I'm sure it'll be up for debate forever. I doubt Isayama will ever resolve whether or not it was romantic love. Maybe he will, but like it seems obvious to me that it is. But nonetheless, like it's real, and just I don't know. It's just an emotional moment, and just like she's a little girl, and I'm like, no, I feel your pain, little girl. I want to like help you, like. Yeah. And then
She wakes up.
She wakes up. She's not a little girl. She's grown up, Mikasa, but
Eren was still taken away.
Eren's gone again, and that's
she
how fresh
wakes up
anxiety kicks in.
into her worst
Boom.
nightmare.
Yeah. How long have I been asleep? 5 hours. Oh,
Oof.
crap. Eren.
Ay.
Eren. Where'd they take Eren? They head that way. The Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan with Ymir and with Eren. And they've been gone for 5 hours. She says, is anyone after them?
Anyone chase?
Nope. Didn't have a way to.
Why the frick not?
Well, you see, there's this thing called a wall, and our horses are on this side of the wall, and the bad guys were on that side of the wall.
And there's no one conscious who can run the lift, and also
Well, the lift wasn't
there's
even
no
there.
one. Oh, that's right. There was no lift.
So they're waiting for a lift
the
to
lift.
arrive.
Yeah, that's why they sent Sasha and the other one.
Right. And then also there's no one conscious that can really chase after them that's not injured.
Everyone's like destroyed.
Yeah. So
they
he
kinda have
basically explains how hopeless the situation is and why. No, we're not being lazy, Mikasa. We actually can't do anything.
Mikasa looks down and she sees the scarf, right? That symbol of comfort and love, and she wraps herself up, holds her knees, and you begin to see the tears in her eyes. And she says to Armin, she says, it's kind of always the same, isn't it? You know, Eren's always going away from us.
Well, she says, why is Eren always being taken away from us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she explains. Okay, so hang on. We have to back up a little bit because she does drop one more little line right before this. She says, he explains like the horses thing and so on and so forth. She goes, "Oh, it hurts," and he's like, "Oh, are you okay? Like, are you wounded?" She's like, "No, I'm fine. Like, my head aches a little bit, but I'm fine." It hurts. It's not a physical pain.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts because Eren's gone again, and she says the last time that Eren was taken away, you know, like. He was stolen by Annie. You'll remember, she flashes back to that.
Yeah.
And the last time he was taken away, like, we chased immediately. And even then, basically just because we had Levi with us, we were able to save Eren. We were able to get him out. You know, remember they cut the jaw open, they got him out, and they were able to save him. And that's when she sees the scarf, and she, like, picks it up or whatever, and, like, yeah, it's like, why does he always have to go somewhere far away from us?
That's right. That's what it was.
And it's true. Like, even again, it's like even at this point in the show, there's just plenty of these moments, and it's not always Eren's fault. This is the second time at least where he's been taken away, but it ain't his fault.
It's
like
maybe just like a woman though, be like, you left. Like, I was kidnapped by Titans. Yeah, but you weren't home by dinner. You said you were going to be home by dinner. Aliens abducted me. Yeah.
Against my will.
So
you made a promise.
You made a promise, dang it. But I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to like kind of recall all the time. So Eren gets taken away. Let's see. I don't know if I can do this chronologically because we could say the first time would be one of the first times would be the flashback we just saw, like he runs off on his own. Another time would be
when he wants to join the scouts.
Yeah, when he wants to join the scouts, he's like, I'm going to go join the scouts. There's that. Another one of those, he doesn't actually do it, but when they have the cannon, he goes to, remember they launched the cannon, they have him at gunpoint because they know he's a Titan shifter now, and like they're all freaked out.
I'll go.
And he's like, I have two plans, and one of them is I just run off. That was one of his plans, so he didn't leave at that point. He does get taken away by the military police and go to the Tribune, remember? Like he's in prison and stuff like that. He's taken away then. He's taken away by... let's see. So he joins the scouts. He's taken away by Annie.
By the scouts. He's taken away by the scouts when Levi takes him away
right,
to
yeah,
the...
he goes to the castle
he doesn't see Armin and Mikasa for like a couple weeks or something like
because,
that.
Yeah, he goes into the scouts immediately, and they have to go through like the graduation ceremony and all that jazz or whatever. So, yeah, he gets taken away then. He gets taken away when he gets killed, quote unquote, the first time from Armin and Mikasa both. Remember, that's when Mikasa has to go like shut her emotions down because Eren's like, quote, is dead. They think he's dead. He's gotten eaten by a Titan. He's been all mashed up, and then he's gone for like a couple of episodes. Same thing, like he's gotten taken away. Then
it's really just like 20 minutes, probably.
Yeah, it's not that long because he shows up.
She
in
doesn't
Titan
know
form.
the difference.
No, yeah, to her, yeah, he's
he
like been taken
died.
away again, and then he gets taken away by Annie when he gets captured twice, kind of. And then then again, this is the most like current time where it's like, frick, dude, like how many times? And it's interesting that he writes this line into the show because this is not something I would have thought about unless she had said it.
Yeah,
he's always going somewhere far away. He's always getting taken away from us.
Doesn't Armin say that's just the way things are? Like,
yeah,
he kind of gets this sad smile on his face a little bit.
It's like, yeah, that's just us.
And then he says it seems like that's how things are meant to be.
Yeah, he says he's always run off. He's always run off on his own. It just seems like that's the way it's meant to happen. At least for Eren, at least. Like that's just how it is. Like he's always going somewhere far off. He's always getting taken away from us. So
Mikasa says,
but all I want is to be by his side.
Eren, wake up and realize the love Mikasa
so
has
sad.
for you.
When this is over, you better propose, buddy. I keep defending Eren with this, which is like he's like a late teen, young adult. He's still a young man and like doesn't see like
what's right in front of his face.
Yeah, guys are dense, so I'm not that surprised.
Yeah, it's true. But when this is all over, he better give her a diamond the size of Annie. You know? He proposes with some Titan crystal. That's like. I made this myself. Here.
I made this out of my own skin.
That's awkward. So Hannes sees him. Hannes comes over, sits down, and Hannes is kind of like reminiscing as well, right? And he says, these crackers.
You're awake, Mikasa.
These crackers are not good, not bad.
Just like they always are.
Just like they always are. And things kind of are as they always are. Eren, going off on some crazy thing, and you guys having to clean up the mess of that stinking brat,
Always, yeah. It's like the same situation, just much more dire, basically. Yeah, hang on. Where's the line here? He says, it's a different time and place, but it's the same thing over. And then Armin quips, and he's like, yeah, the Titans are a little bit bigger than the bullies that used to beat me up, but yeah.
Consequences are a little bit different than like getting beat up versus like all humanity getting destroyed,
Yeah. And then he starts to talk about Eren again, and he's like, this is kind of just typical. Like he would just always go charging in. Like it didn't matter if there was 2 or 5 or whatever. He wasn't even that good of a fighter, but he would always go charging in no matter what. Yeah. And we know that now. We've seen Eren that way constantly.
Yeah.
But like here's Hanne saying like with all the he's the older, wiser one. He's got all the perspective, and he's like, nope, this is how he's always been. And then he says,
I've never seen him win a fight.
Yeah, I've never seen him win a fight.
But I've also never seen him give up.
No matter
trait. How many times he gets knocked down, he always gets up.
Yeah, he's encouraging Armin and Mikasa, who've lost one of their friends right now, but like saying like, hey, he's not beaten. Yeah. That guy always gets back up. That guy always keeps fighting. That guy always will keep fighting until one of us shows up and rescues him, right?
Dude, there's this line in Miracle. It's a movie, like a hockey sports movie, where the coach, or what's his name? I can't remember his last name. Anyway, it's played by I can't say the actor's name either.
It's isn't it played by
Kurt Russell?
Kurt Russell, there it is. Oh. It's Kurt Russell, and he plays or something or other.
I can't remember the coach's last name either.
Anyway, but he like he like has like the guys in the locker room, and they're just like kind of goofing off or something like that. And he's benching he's about to bench a guy. He's like, hey, whatever, you're on the bench tonight. You're one of his goalies or whatever. And he's like, you're on the bench tonight. And he's like, what? He starts to complain and stuff like that. He's like, no, I want to get out there and play or whatever. And he's like, he starts complaining. He's like, are you going to show up tonight? He's like, yeah, I'm going to show up. I'm good. I practice really hard. And like basically they get in the scuffle, and he just, the line drops on him is like, why don't you go ahead and put your street clothes on, because I don't have time for quitters. Like he basically is saying like, don't be you little like poor baby. Like don't feel sorry for yourself right now. Like you need to get out there and play as well as you can actually play. And his motivation to him, his motivating line to him is like, if you feel like if you're going to be on this team but have the attitude of a quitter, put your clothes back on and get out. Then just go. And like he doesn't, right? And then the point of that scene, the point of the movie is that as a coach, this was kind of his like trait. This is sort of like he was able to be hard enough and yet encouraging. Like he was able to tap into something in the heart of man to get them to just keep showing up and just not quit no matter what. Mm-hmm. That is the essential trait. So Eren could have every other weakness, of which he does have many. Yeah. It's a lot of bad traits.
He's always been a hothead.
Yeah.
He's foolhardy.
But the I don't give up trait is probably the rarest. I would say it's inhuman in that like It is not something anybody naturally possesses. It is something that has to be learned. It's something that has to do with the will, but it is the most important, like the most valuable, the most like strong trait that any person can have is the ability to not quit.
It's grit.
Don't give up, because giving up is the state of humanity. Giving up is what you want to do every day. It's what I want to do every day. Giving up on the job, giving up on relationships, giving up on your faith in God or whatever. Like giving up on because something is hard. Giving up on friendships. Giving up on this girl doesn't like me anymore. Giving up on life. Giving up on a game because you're like freaking I lost my promos in League or whatever. Like giving up, surrendering. Giving up on a fight, giving up on a fist fight, giving up on a fight for freedom, giving up on a fight, like giving
your goals,
up.
your dreams, your aspirations.
Giving up on your dreams, giving up on that job that you really want to get, giving up on the business that you want to start. Giving up is something that humans do probably multiple times, but something that we want to do, think about doing, or actually do multiple times nearly every single day. Mm-hmm. And so to run into somebody who is the opposite. No matter
how the odds are stacked.
Who doesn't have it in him to give up, who just giving up is just not going to happen. Okay, so I got a quick side channel here. So one of the words that got used to describe Eren, I can't remember where it was. This is not the Crunchyroll subs, but there's I can't remember what the website was. The first time I watched the show through, I thought it was this episode, but maybe not. I think it's either Pyxis or Hange. They're talking about Eren, and they're describing him. They're saying he's the one with the indomitable will. And I love that word. Indomitable means cannot be dominated. No matter how strong the opponent, which is totally true, right? With Eren, like he just has this crazy courage. Like it doesn't matter how much somebody tries to break his will. It doesn't matter how many Titans show up, how crazy the odds are stacked against him. It doesn't matter any of that stuff. Nobody can persuade him. Literally, nobody can talk him out of it. He is just indomitable. He cannot be dominated. Nobody can break him. That is the trait. That is the thing that we should all be working for. That is the thing we should be asking God to give us is make me indomitable. Make me somebody who doesn't quit, who doesn't give up. And to me, at least, this is the thing that makes Eren the actual hero, so to speak, of the show. It's not that he's the wisest. It's not that he's the strongest. It's not that he's the best fighter. It's not that he even has the best Titan or the coolest powers. It's that he is the most dedicated, the most committed, no matter how grave the circumstances. That's powerful to me. That is literally one of the reasons I've never been able to get this show out of my head, and I'm just this is one of my favorites. I want to be like that.
Yeah. He also inspires other people to hold on to hope in spite of insurmountable problems. Seemingly, even Hannes, he's inspired Hannes. That's why Hannes is saying what he's saying. Yeah. It's because even when Eren was a kid, he would never ever give up, and that inspired him. And I think that's part of probably why he grew as a person, is because he was thinking about Eren and how Eren never quits, and if Eren can keep fighting, then I can keep fighting.
Yeah, and even if he doesn't have, he's not the best fighter, he's not the most strategic minded, if he inspires others, Mikasa, who is a good fighter, Armin, who has a good strategic mind, right?
And Jean, who is a good leader.
Yeah, Jean, who's a good leader, and Connie and Sasha, if he inspires all these people, and they, because of what Eren's example is, they stand up and fight, then you're starting to see real change, and you're starting to impact, right, the country. Yeah. Pyxis and Erwin are all getting changed, right, as a result of this indomitable will, never give up, never give in. And
never give up, never surrender.
Never surrender, yeah. And,
except to Jesus.
He says, Hannes says, he's so tenacious that he even scares me sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. He'll never give in. He'll give him hell till we show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that part.
And
he'll fight them every step of the way.
Yeah. You think he would just give up? He'll give him hell no matter what.
Yeah.
The fact that they removed his arms just kind of shows you.
Yeah, how committed they had to be.
They know what they're in for.
But Hannes says, oh man, I'd rather be a useless drunk, because that means that, times were peaceful again. Even though he's recognizing that guy
he misses the days when he was a useless soldier who had nothing better to do than drink and play cards.
Because then times were peaceful. And he's saying even though I don't want to go back to being a bad person, I'd rather sacrifice me being a bad person and all my friends being alive than me being who I am now, but all my friends died, right? But he says that's I want to get back to those days where there's peace again, where there's not all of our friends dying all the time, and I'll do whatever it takes to get us there. And as he says that, he says, I can't bring the glory days back without you guys. Let's go together. And
not without the three of you together again.
The inspiration, right? He's like the dream. Armin, Mikasa, and Hannes all have the same goal right now. Like, let's go get Eren. Let's bring the glory days back. Let's save humanity. Let's make peaceful times again, right? Let's never take for granted the peace that we had. And Mikasa and Armin have the only response that you can have. You start ravaging,
ferociously eat a ration.
Because as aggressively as possible.
Because eating fast doesn't just look like this.
We should make a shirt that says "Eat aggressively."
Ferocious chewing. Just
surely somebody's made a great GIF out of this. If they haven't yet, like a GIF meme of this exact scene, like it must be done. I'm not like on Reddit, but I'm sure there's an anime Reddit.
There's another scene where Eren is eating aggressively too, like when he wakes up after one of his Titan shifting things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
He's like aggressively eating bread.
It's kind of a theme in anime. It's like, I've got to heal myself so I can get better. But it's like, guys, if you eat fast, you don't digest well, which means you won't heal as fast. You won't feel as good.
You'll have
anyway.
gas.
Anyway, it's showing like, hey, they got their spirit back.
Yeah. I think my comment was like, okay, when you're like sad and depressed in like a serious way, you lose your appetite. I definitely do. Like if I'm genuinely like just hurt by something, I just don't want to eat as much. But they're motivated. They're not like giving up. So his little speech about Eren never gives up, it gives them hope to not give up on him. So that's cool.
And then as they're aggressively eating, we hear the sound of
horses.
Reinforcements.
The horses finally get there, and the lifts are finally there, and they're riding along the wall. And guess who's with them?
Commander
Edwin.
The band is back together.
Back in town.
What the heck did I write? I have written down horses ride with Erwin and MO.
Military police.
MP. That's what.
MPs
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So
probably.
police.
It's a good team.
Okay.
And then there's a zombie Hange. Give me a map.
So yeah.
Hange's like, been in a coma or like being incapacitated, and right when they're all about to leave, Hange like grabs the leg of a soldier. He's like, "Bring me a map."
Give me a map.
She can't even stand up.
Okay, people are like water or like rest.
We
maps.
skipped over our boy Connie. We got it. Okay, before any of that, Connie shows up.
Yeah.
Okay, so
doesn't he say that
Krista
after they go after the map, over the map and everything?
So Chris is there. And Armin's like, I know I probably can't ask you to stay back, but I wish you would, which is Armin saying that because Armin has a crush on Krista like everyone else.
I mean, she's royalty. That's why.
That's why.
No, he liked her before he knew who she was.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, she's cute, so why not, right? So, and she's like, yeah, I won't stay back. Like and then Connie chimes in and is like, well, I mean, she like the rest of us, like we all have a lot of good reasons for wanting to go on this chase, like hurt or not hurt, like we're gonna go out there and do this.
But as he's saying it, he's like monologuing with his like back to them, and he's like, got his like coat on,
very
and
epic
stuff. And you want to finish it?
Listen, Kansas. Connie did not roll a 1, okay?
Yeah.
Thank
even
you.
If he did roll a 1.
No, he didn't.
Even if he rolled a lower number on IQ, okay? He rolled a friggin' like 9 on, courage and like
heart.
Giddy up and heart and like giddy up, okay?
Yeah, he says the fact that Reiner and Bertholdt are our enemies, I want to hear it from their mouths.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
He has his eyes like halfway shut, like
he's kind of in like the Eren
looks
position
a little
where
scary.
Eren was like, I can't believe it's Annie. Like it's like somebody I ran with, and he's like, I can't believe it's them. And like, I kind of get it though. He's like, no,
they were his
look
buddies.
me in the eye and tell me you're the jerks who busted the wall in and caused all this.
Destroyed my life.
Tell me why. Yeah, because they were really close. Obviously, Reiner and Connie. Zombie Hange says, map brains.
She says, give me a map.
She points out that the most likely place that these people are holed up is in this great forest.
Yes.
Another forest of giant trees. There are more than one.
While she's laying on the ground, by the way, because she cannot, in fact, stand still, and everyone just crouches down around her. I just love her so much.
She is the best.
Speaking of an indomitable will.
She's your spirit animal.
Indomitable strange. So she says, hey, look, they're probably tired. They're probably exhausted. That was a crazy fight. They need to rest. until it becomes nightfall, where they can freely move without the Titans impending them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we have until nightfall to get to this forest before they leave with Eren.
Yeah.
God, the people with the deduction skills in this
She
show.
surmises that like Annie, they're going to run out of steam and need to recuperate their strength.
And that the
and
other
they have
Titans,
to be somewhere where the
they're out of
dumb
reach,
Titans
yeah.
can't eat them, and that's the place.
Yeah. So there's a stamina problem. She's like, okay, there's a stamina problem, so they got to recover. Also, this is the closest place to go and do that, and to be safe from Titans, at least until nightfall, and the Titans won't be active, so they have a safer escape route. Which is, again, like the deduction skills here are incredible, actually. But expect nothing less from the best.
True.
She also says
If
they might not be
yeah.
as bad off as Eren, but they were just in a big fight, so they're going to have to be tired, and their destination is almost definitely outside of Wall Maria. So kind of she uses all those factors to be like, well, they're probably headed that way, and here's where I would go if it was me. She also made comments on the footsteps of the armored Titan are going to be hard to hide, hard to conceal, so they can have a lot. They basically have a lot to go off of to try and catch up to them.
Which is crazy that like incapped, like beaten up Hange is still smarter than like 80%.
Anybody? Pyxis with drunk Pyxis.
She rolled a 12.
Friggin' beat up Hange are still better than.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, then that's when they cut to Eren, and he's got no arms. He's like out on top of this tree, or like way up in these limbs.
With steam coming out of his
Steam
body.
coming out. Ymir's there, and
With her
Reiner's
nubbins.
like, oh,
You've
Eren.
awakened.
Oh,
You're
Eren.
awake, except for I can't say it in Japanese. But oh, Eren is what he says.
Are you awake? He says it so creepy.
Yeah,
Dude,
they
but
really
this-
make it creepy.
It's not like oh, Eren, you're awake. It's more like, oh, Eren, you're awake. Like, I'm a cat and I'm going to eat you. Like,
well,
super creepy.
The villains have been revealed, as
true.
far as we know. So
True.
this is kind of a Shakespearean, like, oh, we're finally gonna get some answers.
Dude,
Dang it!
They have, and like the music here is like there's like the build up to like, ooh, and he's like, oh, you're awake, whatever. And then they like cut back to Hanji, and she's like, we have until night.
Yeah,
yeah.
Music
and then they all
rises.
go riding off.
sounds kind of like Phantom of the Opera-esque on the organ. And
Yeah.
The
feels
scouts go for the forest
great.
of huge trees.
If you only watch this episode and didn't immediately watch the next episode, you have self-control. You know, like that is. Because I was like, bye, I gotta see the next episode like immediately because it's getting so good.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love how there's like, I would say the same thing about the previous episode though, because the previous episode ends on like a literal cliffhanger. You're like, what the frick happened?
He doesn't actually make impact.
And this episode
It
sort of
cuts
chills
you
out. This episode like calms down,
and then
but doesn't.
sharply
And then
takes you up
ramps you
into
right
the
back up.
atmosphere and then smacks you into the wall of to be continued.
Anyway,
The wall of to be continued.
ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the spoiler-free section of the show. We're about to get into the spoiler section where we talk about all the different stuff. So if for some reason you're just kind of watching this through for the first time, or you want to take it through step by step without connecting the dots, now's your chance to turn off the podcast, okay? But before you do that, what I want you to do is take your phone. Well, you can hit pause. But I want you to go to iTunes. I want you to go to Spotify, wherever the heck you can review your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review, specifically on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We love Attack on Titan, obviously. We want the show to live on. For a while, we want this podcast to go on. I want this podcast, actually, before we started, I was like, I want this podcast to be like a resource for fans to go back to and like re-listen to in later days. So anyway, best way to make sure the word gets out for that is the 5-star review on Apple iTunes. You can also send us an email. We are trying to compile a video of fan theories, just generally speaking. So it can be about whatever the heck you want, but send us a short email on, or long, I don't care. I'll
Any
read them.
size you wish, really.
On one of your crazy fan theories. No mega spoilers, please, but throw it out there. It can be like side character stuff. It can be like, I don't know, science fiction parts of the show, romances or something, whatever the heck you have in mind. So we have a couple already, but we were wanting to do like a quick bonus episode for the podcast and for YouTube. Where we just kind of read some of those and talk about those. So yeah, beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns are welcome. You can also find us in the comments section on YouTube / Beyond the Basement Podcast. And of course, Facebook. We stream Sunday nights around 8 p.m. Pacific time. Facebook.com / Beyond the Basement Podcast. So don't forget to like the page, by the way. Like the page, follow all that stuff. We will see you there.
Thanks.
And with that, I have to tell you, You need to turn your phone off right now.
You need to run away like Eren off into the distance.
We literally go.
Eren!
We literally get into like mad spoilers, like right away. Like so, if you I'm sorry if we've messed you up before. If you were like on a run and couldn't get to your phone in time, and we just like dropped something on you, and you were like, "Crap!" But you've got 5
Annie.
seconds, okay? And the specialist will self-destruct. 5, 4,
3,
3, 2,
17.
1.5, 1.3,
Chicken.
1.277. 0. Okay, spoilers time. Ah! Spoilers. So many good spoilers. All right. Jackets are coming off.
Okay.
So, spoiler.
The seeds of rebellion.
Okay, let's just get straight to the juicy stuff. Okay, the real spoiler here that we don't know is a spoiler. Armin, Mikasa are saying Eren always gets taken away from us. I think that's just the way it's meant to be. And Pete's like, foreshadow. And I'm like, frick.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on. You had to know.
You had to know. We think Eren's ultimately
definitely going to die.
He's going to be taken away from them for forever, which rip Mikasa, because her very next line
I'm pretty sure they're all going to die, actually. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I think all 3 of them are going to die at the end.
Yeah.
Because they're always together. And Eren goes off ahead of them, but Armin and Mikasa always follow him.
I think, okay, similar prediction. I think Eren dies.
Armin's going to die for sure. He's a Titan.
Well, Armin's got 13 years.
Everyone's going to die.
But when? I'm saying in the show. So I think Eren dies as like a sacrifice, as like a final thing. Like he gets taken away. But Mikasa says, "All I want is to be by his side." I think she dies with him.
She commits like seppuku, or she just like...
No, I just think they like go into battle
They're
together.
They're going to die together. They're going to sacrifice their lives together.
They like finally kiss and then go and die.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, as long as it can be good. I'm worried that Eren's going to turn into like the main boss.
I know.
You think Mikasa would like... I don't think she'd ever turn against Eren.
The actual worst thing that could happen would be if Eren becomes the bad guy and she has to kill him.
No, I think...
Wait.
Wouldn't she join
Armin
him?
Does.
No. Okay, if it goes that direction, my adjusted prediction...
I will be so angry.
...would be that...
I will hate this show if that happens. Sorry.
Adjusted prediction would be that, all right, if it turns out Eren is the final boss, which I think is somewhat likely, at least possible, that, the final moment comes down to Mikasa is the one with the opportunity to, like, kill him, like, once and for all. And she realizes, like, in her heart, like, this isn't Eren, like, this is, like, the Titan, this is Ymir, and this is the only way. And Eren would have wanted this because Eren's desire would be that the curse of the Titans is lifted, that men are finally free. And
this is the only way I can be by his side.
It's the only way I can be by his side.
She like kills him,
yeah,
and then commits seppuku or something,
or dies in the process. Like she has to sacrifice herself to to kill him or something.
And then Armin's just like, that sucks. Me too. Or
oh no, Armin lives on.
Oh okay.
No, Armin's telling the story. Armin writes the book.
Oh, him and Krista have had kids by now.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
I don't know. Krista's like the first time through. I'm like, okay,
she's the only one
Ymir's
that's shorter than Armin.
Goes that direction, but I was like, nah, I don't think Krista's into it. But the more I'm watching this, the more I'm like,
yeah, I mean,
maybe though. She's freaking me out a little bit.
I think that Krista is more open to the whole romance than you guys.
It's weird and unnecessary, but whatever, it's there. But no, I think they would have really cute little blonde kids. So don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and you continue the royal line.
Oh, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but imagine marrying somebody you know is terminal.
It happens.
13 years terminal.
People do it.
They do.
Armin's got to start working out. He's got to get a haircut. He's got to really impress her.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think Armin's the historian. I think he's the one who writes the story down. Remember the first episodes to you in 2,000 years?
Yeah.
What does
I know that has something to do with the way the show ends. I'm just not sure what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's quick question. Remember we decided that we looked up the narrator?
It's a girl, but it's Armin's voice.
And it is the woman who does Armin's voice. Or is it Mikasa's voice?
No, it's Armin's voice.
It is the woman who does Armin's voice.
Yeah, because I said it sounded like Armin's voice, and you guys were like, no, it's a girl, but
it is actually a girl.
But it is Armin's voice.
But it is also the one who does Armin's voice. The question is the narrator supposed to
from
be
Armin.
the future Armin recounting the story.
Yeah. Remember the Attack Titan before Eren got it, the owl, he said, you've got to go save Eren, or I guess
Armin and
Mikasa.
Mikasa. He's like, how do I know
Eren.
those names?
Yeah.
So does Eren end up saving them by sacrificing himself and they live on and he goes on? That's always the way things are. All we know is that's for sure, now that I've watched it again, that's for sure foreshadowing. Eren's going to go away and Mikasa and Armin are going to be left behind to some extent. Whether they choose to follow him eventually or not, we'll see.
Wouldn't it be weird if Armin and Mikasa end up together in the end? Romantically?
That'd be too weird. They're like, all we have is the whole of Eren in our hearts. No, nah, that's not
it's like in Pearl Harbor. You know, he comes back after. Or is it Pearl Harbor? Babe, what's the chick flick? What's the chick flick with I think it's. I can't remember. Josh Hartnett, I think, is in it. Is it Pearl Harbor? Where
no,
one of the guys dies, but he's not actually dead, and him, the girl and the best friend get together.
Are you thinking of The Notebook?
Is it The Notebook?
I don't know.
There's a chick flick where that happens, where there's the trio, there's the guy and his girlfriend, they're all together, and he dies, but he's not actually dead. He's just lost in war, and then the guy's best friend gets together with his girlfriend, and then he comes back into the picture, and he's back from the dead, basically. All right, write to us beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com if you remember the movie.
I'm pretty sure there's more than one movie that has that plot. But in any case,
The next spoiler we think is that Pyxis and Erwin, they were worried about being seen in public because they're like, oh, we don't want anybody to think that we're planning to overthrow the government, and they eventually overthrow the government.
I think the seeds of the coup. I think the mice.
They go back farther than we originally maybe thought.
I think there's a chance that he's even talking about the mice you captured aren't. I think there's a chance he's not even talking about
really
about
the
Annie,
people
because
that we think he's talking about.
Annie is not plural. Annie is one.
Mm-hmm.
She's, and in this, if the translation is correct, mice is plural.
Yeah.
Meaning there's more than one. Meaning what if, because that's the only one. That's the only one that Pyxis actually knows. They do not have news about Ymir, about Bertholdt, or Reiner yet. They don't have it.
Yeah.
And when he at the moment he says that, and what I'm saying
what else
is,
would he be talking about?
what I think he's talking about is, I think he's talking about you've caught a couple of the dirty ones, basically you have some two-timers from the interior. You've captured, maybe not captured, but he's gotten a couple people to kind of double cross the interior that are on his side now that are going to help him coup.
I don't think there's any evidence of that whatsoever. I think you're reading way too far into it. All I'm saying is,
it is interesting that he says mice and not a mouse.
This is the relationship that's beginning to bud that will eventually flower into them coming together for the good of humanity to overthrow the interior.
And also, I think it's possible that he was aware of Erwin's plan to keep the rest of the cadets under lock to see if there were more spies.
Yes.
In the
for sure.
104th.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was aware.
I think he's aware that there's definitely more spies.
Turns
That's why
out
he
there
says
were
mice.
3 more.
They're homies, dude. Another spoiler-ish. Mikasa's ability to beat people up.
Mm-hmm.
We've already spoiled this.
Supernatural.
But of course it's because she's got
Butt-kicking
this
abilities.
Ackerman blood thing. It's just interesting that in Small Blade, the episode where she awakens and finally kills someone, but she's a little girl. There's that green atmosphere. There's clearly some special
Lightning.
power. Lightning, that's what it was. I think that her beating all these guys up, I just think that that's, even as a little girl, she's beating up all these guys on behalf of Eren. That's that Ackerman thing at work, even then.
I think so too.
Also, can we ever see Levi get into just a straight hand-to-hand fight with somebody?
I would like to. I also kind of want to see if he ever gets green lightning.
No, remember he did at one point.
I
did?
can't remember.
You want to see
I
the
was
scene.
probably asleep.
You want to see the scene where he awakens to green lightning.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to see the OVA episode
Yeah.
in between 3 and 4. That's
Wait, is that the
thing,
one,
though.
the sewers one?
Where he's a kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you remember how the Ackermans were kind of supposed to be one of the royal families?
Yeah.
They were protectors.
They were
And they
lords
were
or whatever.
protectors of the royal families. And so what we don't know is that Eren has the founding titan in him. So Mikasa's natural Ackerman blood is to protect
Yeah.
that royalty in
point.
Eren.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's when she's strongest. That's why she's got this Eren's her true north is to That's her blood.
She's a homing pigeon, and he's
doing
home.
What she's naturally supposed to be doing, protecting the royalty and Eren. That's why Kenny protects the Rice family guy so well. And I wonder, Levi
really has an attachment to Eren too.
But to Erwin.
And to Erwin.
Yeah.
But I have also noticed that Levi does have kind of a soft spot for Eren, and he's always looking out for Eren.
Looking out for him, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Levi
does
needs
save
to
his life.
Start hanging out with Historia more.
See what happens.
See if he can get stronger, even more. Levi-ness intensifies.
But then he'll also have a crush on her, and then it'll just be ridiculous and too many. Too many. Okay, any other spoiler things we need to get to?
I think Levi had a crush on Petra. I think it's gonna take him a while to recover from that.
I think it'd be cute. I mean, they're more like brother and sister, him and Hange, but it'd be cute if they had like the old couple.
That would be cute because they do fight like an old married couple already, and they kind of tease each other.
Yeah,
true. Be a really weird relationship, but
it would be cute though.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about it for the spoilers. Thanks again for listening, for tuning in to podcasts. I don't know. Like, we don't have like a radio station name, so I can't say 97.1 The Buzz. Thanks for tuning in
Eric
to
and Becca's Spare Room.
your favorite podcast, Beyond the Basement.
The complete Attack on Titan podcast.
All right, guys. Look us up on YouTube if you want to watch the episodes. If you haven't already, now would be the time. There's some extra stuff there, extra stuff that's not on the podcast. Sasha snacks in particular.
We should do another episode soon.
You'll want to catch that. Look us up on whatchamacallit, iTunes. Leave the review. Facebook.
Whatchamacallit.
And then get freaking pumped for season 4 or whenever that finally comes out. We'll try and stay on top of the news and give you the release date, and that will be the day that we start filming for season 4. So with that,
hype,
we bid you adieu. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're enjoying the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. If you're really loving it and you want some extra cool content, you can join our Patreon page over at patreon.com/beyondthebasementpodcast. Check the show notes or our social media pages for links to some really rad Attack on Titan merch. All right, guys. See you next time.